Hey Dr. Amperon, welcome to the second part of Garrett Fox's Front Porch Finals. I would like to make a postscript on part 1. I am horrible at video editing and neglected to include a works cited, so I'm going to do that here. This is the only source that I used. It's Wiley Plus, Con Brio 4th edition, beginning Spanish, by Mario, Stelton, and Dawson. And that's the only source I used for my discussion of Sever versus Connoisseur and the subjunctive mood. Now on to the literary analysis of the story that we read. I really enjoyed it to begin with, but I'll just begin talking about it. The story is a satirical expression of a piece of art's critique of its artist and viewer. It involves a boy who is tricked into becoming an original piece of work by Picasso by his father. His parents in the story are poor and capitalized off of turning their son into a commercial investment. Picasso had tattooed a minotaur on his chest, and this is where he became nothing more than a faceless object. The boy becomes locally famous and attracts the attention of a socialite named Lady Reeves. She's fascinated with the art and subversively becomes the recipient of a commercial transaction in which the boy's parents sell him to her for her artistic collection. We understand the satire through the words and feelings of the main character. For example, at first, the boy doesn't quite fully understand what's happening to him. In the early part of the story, when Lady Reeves organizes a gala to showcase him, he says he decidí boicotear mi debut en sociedad. He decided to boycott his debut in society, and he refunfuñaba cuando las amigas de mi madre me hacían arrumacos en la calle y procuraba estar cubierto de lado para no tener que soportar sus besos. He wouldn't understand the attention and would try to cover himself in mud on the street to avoid hugs and kisses from his mom's friends. He would try to disguise himself. Finally, Lady Reeves gets him to come out from under the bed and make a proper debut. Parapetado bajo la cama oí los regaños de mi madre y los intentos de soborno de la señora Reeves, que me ofrecía un bolsa de caramelos a cambio de bajar a la sala donde un selecto grupo de don vivants esperaba con impaciencia mi aparición. He was bribed here by Lady Reeves with candy to come down into the room, and the room filled with bon vivants, or socialites, eagerly awaiting his appearance. This is the place where the boy begins to realize his status as an object. A partir de que Picasso estampó su firma en mi pecho, dejé de ser su hijo y me convertí en su negocio. The moment since Picasso stamped his signature on his chest, he stopped being his father's son and became his business. He expresses his hatred and condemns his father to hell. Later on, after hearing his parents fight, he realizes he's been sold to Lady Reeves, and they travel from Cannes to New York. He says he cried and endured slavery. Era un esclavo envuelto en sabanas de silk, a slave wrapped in silk. And she had agreed to pay for his food, education, and accommodation in exchange for displaying the tattoo. We know he feels like his life isn't truly valued when he says, Quiera ser una madre para mí, tendría maestros particulares de inglés, piano, equitación y esgrima, los mejores juguetes, la ropa más cara. He wants to be a mother to himself, to have English teachers, horseback riding, and piano teachers, the best toys, and expensive clothes. He pronto llegue a odiar la palabra gorgeos. He soon began to hate the word gorgeous, and he feels the connoisseurs to be unbearable as well as their comments to him. Su lectura personal de la obra, personal readings of the work. They say things like how Picasso's subject was always the human figure, so this is a natural progression, allowing him to dispense of the canvas and paint directly on his skin, to meld the subject and object together. He finds these analyses vapid, repulsive, and ridiculous, and calls the critics imbeciles. En aquel tiempo no podía en entender de qué hablaron, pero y la comenzaba a sentirme ninguneado, invisible, disminuido por el tatuaje que merecía más atención y respeto que yo. He tells us how he feels here, that he couldn't understand their words, symbolizing the ridiculousness and overinterpretation in aesthetics, and shows us he's made to feel like a nobody, invisible, and diminished by the tattoo that deserved more attention and respect than he did. Later on, he goes through puberty and finally feels like he will be freed from this torture when hair grows on his chest. But alas, the fanatic critics keep coming and begin having philosophical debates whether it is worth interpretation to see an invisible work of art or not. This entire part of the story is especially satirical and on the canon of modern and contemporary art and the ongoing aesthetic debate on what art is at all. When does art stop becoming art? We keep asking ourselves, yet the boy, the piece of art, has already spoken. When it's not even art anymore, you need to stop pretending it is. Nobody listens to the art, though, because he's not actually valued. Rather, he's only used one-dimensionally as a tool for overinterpretation by pseudo-intellectuals for socialization. He's going through puberty symbolizes the threshold where legitimate art becomes non-art. Yet, the viewers dismiss this and continue on with their hype. Some other symbols in the story include the parents who I believe actually symbolize the artist. They in effect create something meaningful, but then sell out. The relationship between father and son, a close emotional bond, is the same as that of the artist and the art. It's ripped apart when he's sold away. Perhaps this is when the art really loses its meaning in the first place. The only true analysis could have ever come from the creator. Lady Reeves symbolizes the commercial capitalization of the art and the exploitation of it as a one-dimensional tool. She completely disregards the true integrity of the work, symbolized by the boy, the art's actual feelings. Finally, the tattoo of the Minotaur, then, symbolizes the lens of overcritique and interpretation. The real art, the boy himself, is there the whole time, yet the critical art society completely ignores it. Symbols in place, through the satire, the theme becomes evident. The main theme here is that aesthetic interpretation need not go off the rails and turn into a self-gratifying pleasure party. It needs to be honestly paying attention to the piece of art itself, its own worth and its respective history. It needs to be true to the piece. In conclusion, the theme is fully recognized at the end of the story when the boy, the work of art, isn't finally freed, but rather stowed away amongst Lady Reeves' used and discarded pieces of art, next to a replica of the Last Supper. It's not even the real work of art, only a worthless replica, surely exploited the same way as the boy was, and thrown away useless afterward. He says abhorrently and shocked, "Yo, un Picasso, una reproducción de la Última Cena de Salvador Dali." Me, I, a Picasso, next to a reproduction of the Last Supper of Salvador Dali. Just a reproduction. Now, as a philosophy student, my opinion of this story is that it's an extremely clever observation of aesthetic critique and some of the current issues and debates relating to contemporary art and its worth and value. I think that personally what I got out of the story is a very well done satire about a specific aesthetic subject, and I honestly didn't see that coming reading the story. So I feel with my degree, being a liberal arts student, well equipped to give this a proper literary analysis. I'm thinking about showing it to Dr. Welsh, the university's resident aesthetics scholar. So anyway, those are my front porch final exams. I hope you enjoyed, and I will also be attaching a link to my introduction video to YouTube. I'm finally learning how to do that. So thank you very much.